Hey there. Tonight we're heading into the quiet part of Viking history. Not the longboats, not the raids, not the legends carved in rune stones, or the gods you've already heard too much about. We're not going to Valhalla. We're going to a farm. A small one. A wooden longhouse somewhere on the edge of a fjord, with moss on the roof and smoke curling from the center hole, and the sound of sheep bleeding into the wind. No saga will mention this place, but someone lived here, and tonight, that someone is you. So lie back, let the sea wind take its time, and we'll begin. The morning comes slow, and without much light. This far north, the sun doesn't rise so much as it reluctantly appears, low, dim, gray around the edges. You're already awake when it happens. You've been awake for a while, because your bed is a straw mattress in the corner of a one-room house, shared with two brothers, one grandmother, and a dog that smells like fish and old snow. You shift the wool blanket off your shoulders. It's heavy, not soft, but it's warm, and that's all it needs to be. You sit up, your breath clouds in the air. The fire's still, burning barely. You add a log, you stir the ashes. You breathe in the smoke like it's part of you. It is. Your home is built from pine logs, darkened by smoke and storms. The roof is sod, and in spring it blooms. In winter it leaks. There are no windows, just one small opening at the top, and a thick wooden door that groans when you open it. Outside, the world is damp and quiet. The sea is somewhere nearby, but you can't hear it this morning. Just the creak of the trees and the low mutter of someone already chopping wood. Probably your cousin. He always wakes early, not because he wants to, but because the wood won't chop itself. Breakfast is simple. Barley porridge, thick and grey, flavored with salt and a single spoonful of last year's honey. There's a dried fish to share. It was caught 3 weeks ago. It still smells like the ocean, or something much less poetic. You eat by the hearth, knees tucked up. Your grandmother hums while she braids wool. She never speaks in the morning. Only hums, always the same tune. You've never asked what it means. You're afraid she'll tell you it's for funerals, after breakfast. It's time for work. You don't sail, not today. That life belongs to someone else, someone whose hands aren't cracked from fence-building, someone who owns a proper sword. Your hands are good with tools, so you mend things. A broken plow, a sheep pen that came loose in the last storm, a barrel that needs its iron hoops refit. The tools are old, passed down, wooden, handles that feel shaped to your grip, not because they were made for you, but because you've used them enough to make them yours. You whistle while you work, not because you're happy, just because it keeps the cold out of your throat by midday. The sky is the same color as the ground, gray, wet reluctantly, alive. You chew on dried meat while standing. You don't sit unless you have to. Sitting makes it harder to start moving again. You drink water from a horn. It tastes like ash. Everything here does. Someone passes you a chunk of hard cheese. You nod, no. one thanks anyone here, not for food, not out loud, but the nod says enough. Later, you check the nets down by the shore. Low tide, no luck, just kelp, dot, and bones, dot, and a small crab that looks too smug to eat. You throw the crab back. Let the sea decide what to do with it. You tie the nets tighter. You curse once at a knot that won't give. The gulls call overhead. You answer them with a gesture your grandmother would scold you for. The sun dips before it ever rises. Evening comes like a thief, quiet, gray, unapologetic. You head home. The longhouse glows faintly in the gloom. Smoke seeps from the roof like a sigh. Inside, the fire is brighter now. Someone caught a hare. It's already skinned and stewing. You can smell the herbs thyme, if you're lucky, or just salt and imagination. You sit near the hearth. You stretch your legs. Your sister offers you bread. It's hard enough to chip a tooth, but you soften it in stew and say nothing. It's better than last week. Someone starts telling a story, a long one, about a man who sailed west and found a shore made of gold, and how he fought giants, and how he came back with a beard full of whalebone and a heart full of shame. No one believes the story, not really, but no one stops him. The fire cracks, the stew bubbles, the wind scratches at the door, but the walls are strong. For now, that night, you lie on your bed of straw and wool. The dog curls at your feet. The air smells like smoke, salt, and something vaguely burnt. You stare at the low rafters. You hear someone snore. You hear someone else turn over. And you listen to the wind howling over the water, through the trees, around your home. It sounds like it's searching for something, but it won't find you. Not tonight. You're still here, still warm, still alive. Still part of this quiet rhythm of cold days and long stories, of wooden walls and wind-blown prayers, of a life not made for glory, but made for holding. On the next morning begins the same way most things do here. With the wind, it sneaks through the cracks in the wall. It whispers under the door. It slips under your blanket, like it's trying to remind you who's really in charge. You groan softly and pull the wool tighter. It doesn't help much, but it makes you feel like you're doing something. Someone's already moving. You can hear the clink of iron on stone, the low grunt of someone splitting wood, the faint crackle of a reluctant fire being coaxed back to life. You stay there a moment longer, just long enough for the cold to win. Then you swing your feet down into boots still damp from yesterday, still cold, still waiting. You eat in silence, porridge again thick and heavy, with a hint of last night's stew clinging to the pot. Your grandmother is awake before everyone. She always is, wrapped in 3 layers of wool and an attitude that could stop a charging boar. She eyes you across the fire, not UNKINDLY, dot just, measuring dot as if she's trying to guess what kind of day the gods have given you. You don't ask, she wouldn't tell you. Today is for chopping wood. You don't need to be told. The pile outside is low. The snow on the hills is creeping closer. and no one wants to be the one without enough fire when it finally arrives. You step outside, and the wind hits you hard enough to push your breath back into your chest. The sky above is pale and wide. The air smells like cold iron and wet moss. You grab the axe, you grab a log dot, and you begin, one swing at a time, one piece at a time, over and over, until your arms ache and your hands lose feeling, and the ground around you is littered with sharp, fragrant splinters. By midday, you've split more than you thought you would, till you sit on the chopping block, letting your breath slow. Your fingers raw and numb. Your cousin tosses you a bit of dried apple. It's tough as old leather, but sweet. You chew it slowly while watching the fjord in the distance. Still water, dark as slate. Boat drifting far out, too small to tell if it's yours or not. You hope it is, but you don't ask. You don't ask. You don't wave. The sea doesn't wave back. Later, you walk to the sheep pen. Check the posts. One is loose again. The same one that always gives way when the wind hits from the east. You wedge a rock under it. It won't last the winter, but it'll last the week. That's good ewes. One of the ewes stares at you. She's always staring, judging, you stare back. She wins. Evening comes fast. In the north, there's barely a difference between the sky at 3 and the sky at 6. Just a little more cold in the wind, a little more smoke in the air. You carry in the firewood. Stack it neatly by the hearth. No one says thank you, but someone hands you a bowl of stew without looking. That's thanks enough. Dinner is quiet again. Just the slosh of broth, the scrape of spoons, the occasional grunt when someone shifts too close to the fire. The oil lamp flickers low. A spark floats up, then dies in the rafters. Someone tells a story about the Jotna, the giants, how they walk the hills in winter and carry the storms on their backs, how if you hear them breathing through the trees, you don't run. You just stay still and pray. No one laughs. No one says. It's nonsense. You've all heard wind that sounded like breathing before. That night, you lie down again. The house creaks softly in the cold. The logs shift. The fire pops outside. Something howls, not a wolf, probably, but close enough. You stare into the dark. You think about summer, not because you miss it, but because it was real, and it'll be real again. For now, though, there's only this: cold toes, warm blankets, heavy silence, and the steady rhythm of your own breath beneath the carved beams of a roof that's seen 20 winters, maybe more. You don't count them anymore. They pass, and you stay, and tomorrow there'll be more wood to chop, more stew to stir, more wind to face, and somehow that's enough. It snows in the night. Not a storm, not a blizzard, just a soft layering, gentle hush laid over everything, like the gods wanted the world to sleep a little longer. You wake to silence, the kind of silence that muffles even your thoughts, the kind that makes you forget for a few moments, whether you're dreaming or just cold. You blink the sleep from your eyes. Your nose is cold. Your toes are colder. The fire, burned low while you slept, and now the hearth glows with little more than memory. You sit up, stretch, wrap your cloak around your shoulders. The wool smells like smoke and salt, but it's warm, and that's enough. You push the door open, and everything is white. The yard, the trees, the slope down to the fjord, all softened, all quiet. You don't speak. There's no one to speak to yet, just the wind, breathing slow over the drifts, just the gulls, quiet in the sky. You scoop a bit, the snow into your hands. Let it melt in your palm. It's cleaner than anything in the house, colder than anything you want to admit. Breakfast is thin again. The stores are low, and the hunting hasn't been good this month. You eat bread hard as antler soak. Eat in broth. Add a sliver of fish. Chew slow. Someone offers you a bit of dried cloudberry. You smile. It's small, but it's sweet. And in the north, sweet means everything. Today is for hauling water. The stream's half frozen, and the path to it winds down the hill and back up again, slick with frost and crisscrossed by deer tracks. You balance 2 buckets on a yoke across your shoulders. Step by careful step. No words. No music. Just the sound of your own boots crunching, and the whisper of snow falling from branches as the morning warms. You pass a tree you planted as a child. It's taller than the house now. You touch its bark as you go by. Not a ritual, just a habit. The kind of quiet thing that keeps you tied to the land at the stream. The ice is thin enough to break. You use your knife, cut a hole, clear it out. The water is dark and slow and deep. You lower the bucket carefully. This is the hardest part. Slipping, not spilling. The water's weight is real. It pulls at your shoulders on the climb back. But you've done this before, and your body remembers what your mind wants to forget by midday. Snow has begun to melt from the roof, dripping slow into a bucket you placed days ago. You patch a leak near the fire pit. Help your sister cut wood for kindling. Feed the hen, who seemed deeply offended by the snow. You don't blame them. In the distance, you see a figure approaching, small, familiar, walking slow. It's your uncle, gone for 3 days, trading fur and horn in a neighboring village. He carries a small sack. His beard is thick with frost, his eyes tired. He nods. You nod back. There will be stories later after stew, after fire, after the warmth finds your bones again. But not yet, for now. There is only welcome, unspoken but understood. That night you eat better. He brought dried meat, a wheel of goat's cheese, even a handful of barley cakes, smoky, bam, and laced with herbs you haven't tasted since last harvest. You eat slowly. You let the warmth settle in. You listen as your uncle speaks low. Betty voice, talking of roads slick with ice, and a woman who makes beer stronger than logic. You laugh once, just once, but it's real before bed. You step outside, just to breathe. The snow has crusted over Nausalid under your boots. The sky above is clear. 1,000 stars. Cold and close. You pull your cloak tighter. You close your eyes for a moment, and you listen to the crack of ice in the trees, to the creak of wood settling behind you, to the beat of your heart in a world that doesn't care about your name, but still lets you live in it. One more night, you sleep under the same blanket, on the same straw, with the same wind slipping through the same cracks. And before sleep takes you fully, finally you think one last thought. Let the roof hold. Let the food stretch. Let the snow wait just one more day. And with that to rest, not proud, not remembered, but present and here, in this place. That's enough. The snow holds through the next day. No new storms, just the long, slow presence of cold, settled in like it means to stay. You wake to the soft creak of the roof timbers above you, wood expanding, shifting, speaking, its own quiet language. The dog is gone again. He's never around in the mornings anymore, chases crows, or sleeps in the barn, or wanders down to the fjord to watch the ice form. You can't blame him. Some days you'd go to today is it quiet day, not because there's nothing to do, there's always something, but because everyone feels it that low. Heavy paws that winter lays across your shoulders. No one says much. Your sister works by the fire, weaving strips of cloth into rope. Your cousin sharpens a knife that doesn't need sharpening, just because it keeps his hands busy. Your grandmother hums again, a different song this time. This one is slower, sadder. You still don't ask what it means. You step outside anyway. You have chores. Always do. You gather eggs from the hen, maybe 3. They peck at your hands like you owe them something. You check the trap line near the woods. Nothing, just snow on snow, and the faint scent of pine in the frozen air. You repair the sled runners, sand the rough edge with stone. Run your fingers along the grooves, checking for cracks. You don't use the sled much now, but when the snow deepens, it will be all you have. You prepare, not because anyone told you to, because that's what survival is, not reacting. Just staying ready by midday. The light feels thinner, the kind of gray that makes time feel slower. You sit by the fire, stripping bark from kindling. Someone hands you a piece of smoked fish. You eat it without a word. It's salty and dry, but it fills the space inside you. That's enough. Later, a visitor arrives. No horse, no sled, just boots, and a walking stick, and a hood, heavy with snow. It's a trader from farther inland. His name is Jorand, though no one's quite sure if that's his real name yet. Just the one he gives to people he doesn't trust. He carries goods wrapped in cloth, iron nails, carved bone needles, 2 jars of something that might be preserved plums. He barters quietly. He drinks what you give him, and he says the wolves are moving closer to the farms. This year, too much. Snow, he says. Not enough deer. You nod. You knew before he said it that night. The fire is warmer. The room is fuller. But the silence stays. Jorand tells a story. Before sleep, a short one, about a man who married a spirit in the woods and returned 10 winters later, unchanged, unaged, but no longer knowing his own name. No one laughs because you've all seen things in the trees you didn't try to understand. You lie down again, same straw, same blanket, same rhythm of wood creaking and snow sliding off the roof. You hear a distant howl far off, but not too far. You close your eyes and you think one quiet, simple thought. Let the traps catch something tomorrow. Let the wolves stay behind the trees. Let the sled hold Dot and sleep when it comes. Is deep, Dot, not because you're safe, but because you're tired, and because being tired means you lived another day. The sky is the same color as ash. You know it before you open your eyes. There's a weight to it, not dark, not light, just the gray hush of a northern day that doesn't care what time it is. You sit up slow, your joints protest, same as always, nothing sharp, just that dull, lived-in ache that tells you you've done enough work to still be here. The fire's out, no one stoked it. Maybe they forgot. Maybe they wanted to see how long the coals would last without help. Not long, apparently. You dress in silence, wool tunic, rough and scratchy, fur-lined boots, stiff with yesterday's wet, a cloak that smells like smoke and old pine. You tie your belt twice, the leather's wearing thin. You'll fix it. Eventually, you step outside. The snow is deeper. Today, not fresh, just drifted. It's crept in overnight, pressing against the sides of the house like it wants to come in for warmth. Even the trees look tired under the weight of it. You see your cousin down by the sled. He's brushing snow from the runners, talking to the ox like it's a person. He sees you, lifts a hand. That's it. You nod. That's enough today. The two of you head to the forest. The trees there are tall and close together. Spruce, pine, birch, Dot. The kind that stay quiet unless the wind moves through them. You're there for firewood, for branches that fell under the weight of snow, for dry kindling. If the gods are generous, you take the sled, you take the axe, you take your time. No, one speaks on the way, not because there's nothing to say, because everything that could be said has already been spoken 100 winters ago, and the forest prefers silence. You reach the edge of the trees. The air changes, colder, but still. Like the wind knows better than to enter. You work for hours, breaking limbs, clearing bark, hauling what's worth, pulling. Your hands go numb. You let them, they'll warm again later. You stop once to drink water from the stream still moving, just barely. You crouch beside it, let the ice crack softly under your knees. The water tastes like stone. You drink it anyway. On the way back, the sled is full, heavy, but it pulls easy on the packed snow. You and your cousin take turns hauling it up the hills. Neither of you talks about the blister forming on your heel, or the way your breath comes harder now than it did last winter. You just pull and breathe and exist at home. The fire is already going. Your sister got it started. Again, you nod to her. She shrugs. Someone hands you a bowl of broth. It's hot and thin, and tastes like sage and onion. It burns your mouth. You drink it anyway. Later, someone carves, someone braids, rope, someone sharpens a blade that isn't dull. Not because it needs it, but because it's good to keep your hands busy when the snow keeps falling. You sit by the hearth, half asleep, half remembering something your grandfather once said about storms that steal memory. You don't remember the rest of the story. You're not sure he ever finished it. The night comes quiet. No wind, no wolves, just the deep, soft sound of snow settling Ginto, places it doesn't belong. You lie down, wrap yourself in wool, close your eyes, who listen to the house breathe around you, to the old beams creaking dot to the fire, whispering dot to the faint sound of your cousin still talking to the ox, as if the day never really ends. You think one last thought before sleep takes you. The snow will melt someday. The river will thaw. The sun will come back, and so will we. The next morning isn't colder, it's quieter, which is worse. You know that kind of quiet. It's the kind that means the snow fell heavy, wet, thick, and that every path you walked yesterday is now buried under the memory of the storm. You roll over and hear it before you see it. The sound of weight sliding off the roof. A low, sudden hump that shakes dust from the beams. The fire's out again. Nobody wanted to leave the bedrolls before dawn. Not even the dog. He's curled at your feet. Paws twitching in dreams you'll never know. You rub your eyes, your breath clouds, and then you begin again. Outside, the whole world is white, not bright, just pale, like everything's been washed out in milk and silence. The snow's waist high. Near the woodpile, the door barely opened, and the sled buried your cousins already out there dudding. One slow scoop at a time. He doesn't speak. You grab a shovel and join him. No need for words. Not yet by midday. The paths are clear. Not good, not safe, just passable. The snow still falls light, now drifting like sleep. The sky presses low, and the forest across the fjord disappears into it. Like the gods decided to hide the edges of the world for a while. You spend the day inside, the kind of day meant for hands, not feet. You sit by the fire, mending a fur cloak. The thread bites your fingers, stiff from cold. Your sister is boiling wool, steeping it with lichen for dye. The pot smells like wet stone and smoke. She hums a tune under her breath. Not a song, just a shape of sound to fill the silence. Your uncle is carving again. Not a tool, this time something else. A horse. Maybe Dot, or a god. Or maybe he doesn't know yet. In the corner, the grandmother is telling a story. She does that sometimes. Not always, when anyone asks. Today's is about the Draugr, the dead who walk beneath the snow, the ones that visit long during winters when the fire won't stay lit, she says. If you hear knocking on the roof at night, you don't answer, you don't speak, you just throw salt into the flames and look away. You nod, not because you believe it, but because some stories aren't meant to be argued with. Dinner is better than usual. There's broth and root vegetables, and something dry and red that tastes like meat. But no one asks what kind. You eat slowly. You let it sit in your stomach like a stone. It's the only warmth that lasts. The dog rests by the fire. The ox stirs in the barn, and the storm, for now, seems to have finished saying whatever it meant to say. That night you climb into your bedroll and lie still. The snow outside presses against the house. You can feel it, like weight in the walls, like silence with a body. The fire hisses softly, fighting off the cold with what little it has. You close your eyes. You think. Once again, the same quiet thoughts you've thought for weeks now. Let the roof hold. Let the wind pass. Let the sun return. Slowly, maybe, but surely, and sleep comes heavy, slow, grateful, morning. Again, though calling it morning feels generous. The light is there, barely grayish, thin, like the sun is trying, but hasn't made up its mind yet. You wake slowly, not because you're rested, but because it's warmer under the blanket than out from under it. You can hear the snow, melting dot, not everywhere, just from the roof, a steady drip outside, the sound of weight loosening, of ice losing its grip. It's the first sound of change you've heard in weeks, and you let yourself hope just a little that it means what you think it does. The chores are the same, but they feel lighter today. You carry water from the stream. It's running faster now, not loud, just less frozen. The path is slush. Your boots sink deep, but you don't curse like you did last week. This time the mud is a promise at the barn. The ox coughs. You check its feed. You pat its side. You whisper something without thinking. Not a prayer. Not quite. Just a sentence with no one else to hear it. It blinks. Put you. Keeps chewing. You smile. Just a little dot in the long house. The hearth is burning brighter. There's more smoke, now less. Desperation in the flames. Your sister is hanging herbs from the rafters. She says the smell keeps the rats away. You don't argue. She likes saying it. You like the smell, so it's true enough. You take your time. Today you sit outside for a while, on the low bench near the woodpile. The sun's still hiding, but the air is softer. You can feel it in your bones. That quiet shift between seasons. Not loud, not fast, just beginning. A raven calls from the edge of the trees. You look up. It looks back. You wonder if it's the same one that visited during the last thaw. You wonder if it remembers you. You decide it does. That night, dinner is simple, just porridge and a bit of boiled meat. But someone found berries dried, buried deep in a jar, forgotten through most of winter. You sprinkle a few on top there. Sweetness is small, but bright. It tastes like not winter. After the meal, someone pulls out the old harp, the one with only 5 strings, 3 still in tune. She plays anyway, soft notes, old ones, the kind that don't fill a room. They settle into it. The fire crackles. Someone hums. Someone else closes their eyes. Not to sleep, but to feel the sound better. No one talks. You don't need to. Later, you lie on your back in the dark. The dog at your feet. The roof above you holding. The snow around you softening. You stare into nothing and think of everything. The cracked handle on the shovel. The warmth of berries on your tongue. The way the water moved faster today than yesterday. You don't smile, but something in your chest softens, like a knot untied. You close your eyes, and just before sleep takes you, you whisper, "We're closer now, to spring, to warmth, to the kind of days that don't start in silence." And with that, you rest, not with joy, not with peace, but with readiness. And for now, that's enough. You wake to birdsong faint, just one, high up in the trees behind the barn, singing like it forgot where it was, or like it remembered something it heard last summer and decided to risk repeating it. You lie still for a moment, just listening. No creaking ice. No howl of wind. Just fire crackle, slow breath, and that bird dream minding the world. It's still here. You sit up, your joints still ache. The dog still snores, but the air smells different. Smoke, sure, wool and ash and last night's stew. But beneath that dash, earth. Damp, alive, old earth, rising from beneath the snow like a forgotten song. You step outside. The snow is pulling back from the house in slow, sloppy defeat. Puddles in the yard, mud near the well, pine needles, wet and dark, scattered like crumbs from the last storm. You squint toward the trees. Sunlight, real sunlight, even if it's thin and tired. You breathe in deep, and the cold doesn't bite like it used. To dot it just brushes your skin, like it's saying goodbye. Chores again, but they feel less like survival and more like living today. You chop wood with your sleeves rolled up. You feed the chickens, and they come faster this time, less cautious, more sure. The world's turning in their favor again. You walk down to the riverbank. The ice has broken into plates. They drift quietly, like old ships letting go of something. You throw a stone and watch the ripples. They move faster now. Back at the house, your sister is cleaning. Really cleaning. Not the winter kind. Not just sweeping soot or patching wool. She's opening windows, letting light in, letting air move again. She's humming to not the same tune as before. Something newer, something made for walking instead of waiting. You smile at that dot, not out loud, just inside your ribs, where the warmth gathers. Your uncles started planting again. Just a few onions by the edge of the fence. Still too early, but he does it every year, just to remind the ground who's in charge. You kneel beside him, push your fingers into the dirt. It's cold, but soft, and you can smell the life in it. He doesn't speak, neither do you. You both know that night dinner tastes different. Same stew, same bread, but someone added herbs dry, crumbled, sharp on the tongue. They've been waiting all winter to matter again, and now they do. Later, the harp comes out again. More strings in tune this time. Someone starts a story, but doesn't finish it. Too tired, too comfortable. No one minds. The fire's still bright, the room still full. No one's sick. No one's sick. No one's gone. You take your bedroll to the corner near the door. Colder there, but you want to feel the night. You lie down, pull the blanket to your chest, and listen. The bird is still singing, somewhere far, but not too far. You close your eyes and think, we made it, almost, not quite, but almost on this time. You believe it. The snow doesn't return. Not today, not yesterday. And if the wind keeps blowing from the south, maybe not again this season. You don't trust it yet. Not fully. But your boots don't crunch in the mornings. Anymore they squelch. And somehow, that feels like a small miracle. You wake to a house that's breathing easier. No more frost on the beams. No more ice on the water bucket. The fire still burns, but it's no longer fighting for your survival, just keeping the edge off. The morning dot, you sit up, stretch. Your shoulders are still sore, but not the deep, aching kind of winter soreness. This is the kind of tired that comes from doing, not enduring. You'll take it outside. The yard's a mess. Puddles the size of goats. Mud up to your ankles in the old path to the barn. Wood slumped where the snow rotted it. It's ugly, but it's honest. And under all that, life, you can smell it. Wet bark. Old roots waking up. The sharp green of moss peeking from under the melting. Drift by the fence. You pause there, just for a moment, letting your feet sink into the muck, letting the world press against your soles and remind you you're not just alive, you're here. Chores. Again, Dot, of course. But they've changed. Winter chores are quiet. Inside things preserve this. Mend that. Wait. Spring chores are louder. Dot, fix. The fence. Dot, clear the path. Dig up what died. Make room for what didn't. You chop firewood one last time less for heat. More for cooking. You patch the barn roof. You chase the chickens out of the grain like you always do. But this time they fly farther when you shout. Even they know we're moving again. You find your uncle near the hillside. He's turning the earth. Not all of it, just the top. Layer. Dot, just enough to see if it'll hold seed this year. He hands you the hoe without a word. You start digging. The soil gives. Soft and dark and worm-filled. It smells alive, like bread baking, like breath under the surface of the world. You smile, not for him, not for anyone, just for yourself. Later, your sister finds wild greens by the tree line, small ones, sharp-tasting, stubborn things that survived the freeze. She brings them inside like treasure, rinses them 3 times in cold water, lays them out like an offering. You eat them with flatbread and a smear of goat cheese. It's the best thing you've tasted in months. You don't even try to hide it. That night, the sky is clear, really clear. The stars don't just blink tonight. They glow dot like coals on the edge of a hearth, like eyes watching from far away. The air smells like pine and damp grass. Not smoke, not cold. You lie outside for a while. Not for warmth, not for duty, just to feel the earth again, too. Listen, Dot, and you do. You hear the creek moving faster. You hear the geese overhead, flying low. You hear someone laughing softly inside the longhouse, and underneath it all, you hear the sound of the season turning. Not loudly, not quickly, but steadily, like breath, like a promise being kept. You close your eyes, and the thought that drifts through your mind isn't a prayer. Not this time. It's just this. Let tomorrow be the same, or better, or even just not worse. That's enough. And for the first time in a long while you sleep like someone who believes it. The birds are back now. Not just one. A whole morning chorus, awkward and imperfect, but louder than it needs to be. Like they're making up for lost time. You wake to it, not all at once, just slowly, eyes half open, listening to that ragged choir of crows and thrushes, somewhere above the longhouse roof. You smile before you mean to, just a little, because it means the season isn't guessing anymore. It knows what it is now. You pull on your boots. They're still damp from yesterday. They'll be damp tomorrow. It's the price you pay for walking through a world that hasn't dried out yet. But your feet are used to it. Your steps are sure. And you have things to do. The stream near the field has spilled over. Not dangerously, just wide, cutting across. The path you've taken since you were 5. You roll your trousers, wade through, feel the water bite at your shins, and you laugh, not because it's funny, but because it's cold and real and alive, and so are you. The field looks better today. No frost on the edge rows, no pooling water where the soil dips. The earth is soft and open. Your uncle's already there, kneeling in the dirt, pressing seeds in one by one like he's apologizing to the ground for the wait. You join him. You don't speak, but he hands you a handful of barley. You start planting, one seed at a time, bent over, hands muddy, back sore. But there's something in the motion that feels familiar, like you're not just working, you're returning. By midday, the sun comes out, not just pale light, but real warmth, the kind that finds your back, settles on your shoulders, and it stays. You squint into it, let it hit your face for a few seconds, just to remember what it feels like. You close your eyes, and for a moment it feels like summer already. Then the wind shifts. You shiver, and you laugh again. Not yet, but soon, later. You find your sister boiling linens in a pot near the barn. She's singing now an old song, something about sun gods and summer wheat. You've heard it 100 times. You never get tired of it. She doesn't see you watching you. Don't say anything. You just listen and smile. Dinner is better than it's been in a while. Goat cheese, wild greens, a bit of honey scraped from the bottom of the jar. No meat tonight, but no one minds. People talk more during meals. Now, still quietly, still slow. But there's less weight behind the words. You say something about the geese. Your cousin says, the sheep are starting to wander farther uphill again. Your grandmother says she saw a bee today. Everyone freezes. A bee. It's the first time she smiled in days. That night, you lie down on your blanket. You leave the door open just a little, just enough to let in the night sounds, the crickets, the wind in thawed branches, the occasional groan of the roof beams, less from cold now, more from shifting and above it all, somewhere out there in the dark. That one bird keeps singing. You pull the blanket to your chest. You breathe in the smell of fresh soil, wood smoke, and old wool. You whisper a thought, not a prayer, just a wish, with no one in particular listening. Let it keep going, just like this. A little warmer, a little brighter, one slow day at a time, and sleep takes you like soft rain. The day begins before you're fully awake, not with sound, not with light, but with motion. Someone walking past your bedroll, boots scuffing against the packed dirt floor, the soft clatter of firewood dropped into the hearth. You open your eyes slowly. The air smells like ash and fresh bark, and maybe, if you're not imagining it, wet grass, real grass. You sit up, stretch your arms, listen to the long, familiar creak of your own spine. Nothing hurts more than it should. That's a good sign. Outside, the world is still soft around the edges, mist curling up from the melting banks. The low murmur of water moving under everything. Snow still clings to the hillsides, but it's thinner, threadbare, like winter's cloak, has been dragged too far and is starting to fall apart at the seams. And beneath it, the land is waking, sluggish, mucky, but alive. Today is for walking, not for work, not for trade. Just walking. You don't go far, just past the edge of the field, down the old path, by the split boulder, through the trees, where the ground stays wet and the sun filters through last year's leaves. You know every twist in this path, but today it feels different, not new, just unfamiliar again. A little softer, a little more forgiving. You stop by the stream. It's louder than last week, faster carrying sticks and leaves and silt from places upstream you've never seen. You crouch and dip your hands into it. The cold bites, but not deep, not like winter, just enough to remind you that this is real, that this water is moving forward. Even if you're not sure where it's going. You splash your face, wipe it dry on your sleeve, stand there for a long time, doing nothing but watching the current on the way back. You gather moss, the green kind, thick and soft and growing on the shaded side of the trees. It smells like stone and rain and something older than words. You take a small handful, tuck it into your belt pouch. You're not sure why. It just feels like the sort of thing someone might need later, when you return. The longhouse smells like stew again, but it's different today. More herbs, a sharper scent, garlic, or maybe fresh onion, foraged from near the creek. Use slowly. Let the warmth reach all the way to your fingers. Someone says, The sheep are restless again. Someone else says the ice is breaking up along the coast. Someone swears they saw a swallow this morning. Everyone stops. A swallow. Too early. But maybe not. Your grandmother looks up from her stitching. She says nothing, just smiles. That's enough. You sit outside after dinner, on the bench, same spot. But this time, you don't have to wrap your cloak tight. The air is still cool but kind. You watch as the last light slips behind the trees. The sky turns the color of wet stone. And then, little by little, night settles in again. You hear frogs tonight. The first ones, raspy, clumsy, calling to each other like they forgot how to do it properly. You smile. So much of life forgets itself during winter, then spends spring. Remembering you lie down with the door half open, just enough to let the night drift in. You feel the dirt floor beneath you, the creaking wood above you, the quiet, warm rhythm of other people breathing close by. And before you fall asleep, you whisper the same slow thought you always do. Now with just a little more hope. Let it hold, let it last, let tomorrow bring the green. You wake to the sound of rain, not heavy, not a storm, just a soft, steady tapping against the roof. Like the sky is testing the weight of itself, like the gods are knocking gently on the world to see if anyone's home yet. You listen for a while, eyes closed, wrapped in warmth and wool. Your breath slow and even in the space between the drips. And then, finally, you sit up. The house is dim, but not cold. The hearth is smoldering quietly. You don't stoke it. You don't need to. Outside, the rain keeps falling. Not enough to flood, but enough to turn everything soft again. You pull on your boots, still wet from yesterday. You tell yourself you'll dry them properly later. But you won't, because there's always something else that needs doing first. The air smells like wet, bark and clean soil. The good kind of mud. The kind that makes things grow. You step out into the yard, and the earth gives just slightly under your heel. Not in warning, not in welcome. The mist curls low over the hills. The trees drip in rhythm, and somewhere in the distance you hear the high, echoing call of a crane returning to its summer roost. You stop walking. You close your eyes. And for a moment, you just stand there still, so still, like you're part of the land itself. Waiting to leaf out today is for gathering your sister hands. You a basket. She doesn't say what to find. You just know. Nettle, sorrel, dandelion roots, whatever's green and brave enough to poke through the thaw. You follow the path down past the alder grove, the same one you've walked 1,000 times. But this time, there are leaves, tiny, trembling things barely formed, shimmering in the damp light like they're not sure if they're supposed to be here yet. You pick carefully. You thank the roots out loud, not because you were taught to, but because it feels wrong not to. By midday, the rain fades into fog, thicker now, clinging to your sleeves, your hair, your breath. You stop to rest near the fallen treether, one covered in soft moss and slick with mushrooms. You sit on it like a bench, chew a bit of dry bread, and listen to the world hum. A beetle crawls up your boot. You don't move. It finds its way down again. You smile at that, because even the smallest things are waking up again when you return. The longhouse smells like broth, real broth, not thin and desperate, but full, spiced, alive. You hand over your basket. Your sister nods and begins picking through the leaves, like she's choosing from treasures. Someone found salt today, traded for it with a passing fisherman. You'll eat well tonight. Later, as the light fades, you sit with your back to the door, watching steam curl up from your bowl. Your hands are red from the cold. Your knees ache, but the stew is rich, and the floor is dry, and no one is sick. Someone tells a story about the old days when the gods used to walk the hills in spring, pressing their bare feet into the earth to wake the flowers. You know it's just a story, but when you stepped into the mud this morning, it did feel warmer than usual. So maybe that night you lie under your blanket, the fog still thick outside, the fire low, the house breathing with you. You close your eyes, and your last thought before sleep is nothing dramatic. No prayer, no fear. The roof no longer leaks. Not because it was patched, just because the rain isn't trying as hard. Anymore you wake to birdsong louder, now more confident, like the trees have finally given permission. You sit up slowly. Your blanket is warm. Your feet are not, but the floor isn't frozen anymore. Just cold in the way dirt is cold real, grounded, not cruel. You step outside. The sky is soft and wide, still pale, but no longer indifferent. There's a light in it now, not heat, not yet, but intention. Mist hangs over the yard, curling around the stones, like it's trying to remember where everything belongs. You can smell water in the air, and wood smoke, and the faintest trace of sap rising. You breathe in deep, the kind of breath that fills all the way down into the ribs, the kind you only get in spring. Today. You plant not because it's time, not officially, but because your hands need to do something that matters. You turn the soil slowly. The top layer is still cold, but the earth beneath it is ready. You scatter, seeds, onions, cabbage, something unnamed that your grandmother swears still grows if you talk to it. You press them into the dirt gently. You don't say anything, but you think the trite thoughts. That's enough. The sun finds you around midday. Just a single shaft of light, slipping through the trees. It lands on your arm, warm, surprising. You stop moving, let it rest there. You don't look at it, you feel it. You close your eyes, just for a breath or two. And for the first time in months, the warmth sinks in, not just through you, but into you. Later, you sit by the riverbank. The water is loud now, busy, joyful, almost. You watch sticks drift downstream. You toss one in of your own, just to see where it goes. You wonder how far it'll get, if it'll make it to the sea, if someone downstream will find it and wonder where it came from. You don't expect answers. That's not the point. The point is, the water's moving again, and so are you, back home. The animals are louder, restless, happy. The chickens dig deeper. The dog rolls in something you hope isn't alive. You don't stop him. Let him celebrate. 2. You patch a hole in the fence. You laugh once when the wind carries the scent of thawed manure your way. Even that is welcome now. It means the ground is giving again. Dinner is warm, greens and broth. Simple, but you taste the sun in it. Someone brought berries back last year's, dried and wrinkled, but still sweet. You chew slowly. Let it settle on your tongue. Let your body remember what sweetness feels like. It's been a long time. That night, you don't go inside right away. You sit on the bench, bare arms, bare feet, watching steam rise from the earth as the last of the mist fades. You see stars tonight, real ones, not blurred through clouds or hidden behind frost. You lean back and you smile. You don't plan to. You don't force it, but it comes anyway. Because the night is gentle and the fire inside is still burning. And for once, you're not thinking about whether the roof will hold. You wake to light, real light. Not just the grey hush of winter mornings, or the pale flicker of snow-reflected sky. This is golden dot, soft dot, like butter melting slowly across the floorboards. You lie still for a moment, letting it wash over your face. Someone's already outside. You hear boots on wet ground. You hear laughter, short, surprised. The kind of laugh someone makes when they've just realized the air doesn't hurt anymore. You pull on your clothes slowly. You don't need as many layers now. Just one tunic, one belt, boots, no scarf, no wool wrapped twice around your neck. You walk barefoot to the door, just to feel the floor beneath you. It's cool, but not cruel. And when you open the door, the world greets you, not with a gust, not with a warning, just with breeze, just with green. The yard is covered in tiny shoots, now patches of color where snow used to be, not flowers, yet just promises. And you feel taller somehow, not in your bones, but in your breath, like the earth itself is standing up straighter, like you're allowed to do the same. You step into the grass, you close your eyes, and the warmth finds your shoulders like an old friend who never apologized, but still showed up. Today is for gathering stones. The fence by the river's still leaning, and the path to the field turns to soup when it rains. So you go with a basket and a stick and time. You follow the river upstream, where the bank is littered with smooth grey stone sand. The moss grows thick on the north sides of trees. You don't talk, but the world does. The birds, the stream, that the wind pulling gently at the edge of your cloak. Like it's curious where you've been all winter. You find what you're looking for, not the biggest rocks, just the ones that feel right, flat, round, heavy enough to stay where you place them. You carry them home one by one. No cart, no rush, Just you and your footsteps, and a sky that's finally wide again at home. The work begins. You set the stones by the fence, line them along the path, build something small but lasting. You wipe your hands on your tunic, lean back, look at what you've made. It's not perfect, but it's better than before, and that's enough. Your sister comes by later with a basket of herbs. She's gathering early ones, the bright, bitter kind that grow best in the cracks. She hands you a few leaves. You chew them. They taste sharp, alive. You both laugh at the face you make. She says it means your body's waking up. You believe her dinner is fish, roasted with greens, caught fresh from the river, cleaned in the cold stream behind the barn, cooked over a fire that finally feels like a choice, not a necessity. Everyone eats quietly, not because there's nothing to say, but because the food speaks first. And when the meal is done, you all sit outside, not one or two, all of you, sitting in a circle, letting the night breeze move through your hair, letting the dusk settle like dew across your shoulders. And someone says, without really meaning to, it's almost warm enough to sleep outside again. And no one answers, but no one disagrees. That night you lie by the fire, not because it's cold, but because you still like the sound, the slow pop of wood, the sigh of coals shifting, the crackle that reminds you made it. You close your eyes, and your last thought is simple. Not a hope, not a fear, just a knowing. This is the season that gives. This is the one that stays. This is the one where you remember who you were before. The frost came, and you sleep like someone who will wake to light again. You wake early, not because you're cold, not because something aches, but because the sun found your face before your dreams could end. And that's fine. They weren't good dreams anyway, just the kind that trail off when the world gets louder. You blink, sit up, stretch. The air smells like sun-warmed wood and crushed grass. And for the first time in a long time, you don't reach for your cloak right away. The house is already half-empty. Your cousin's gone to the pasture. Your sister is in the garden, muttering quietly to the beans like they're stubborn children. You grab a handful of flatbread and a water skin and head out without speaking, not because you're in a hurry, just because the sky feels wide and you don't want to waste it. You walk the ridge path today, the high one, the one that curls along the cliffs above the fjord, where wind and sun argue over who gets to touch your face first. The grass is dry here, golden, not dead, just wise. It bends without breaking. You admire that below. The sea is awake, blue, then green, then blue again, dappled with light, cut by gulls. You stop and watch for a while, not for a reason, not because it means anything, just because it feels like something. The breeze smells like salt and rock and distance. You breathe it in unto your lungs. Remember the ocean again. There's a tree near the path, old, gnarled, half split from lightning. 3 winters ago, it still stands, still blooms in one stubborn branch. You sit beneath it, Pull out your bread and eat slowly, chewing more than you need to, letting the world move around you instead of through you. You see a hawk overhead, then gone. You hear bees in the grass behind you, then silence. And for a moment, just one you feel, small in the right way, like part of something that doesn't need you to. Keep turning on your way back down. You find a patch of early berries, tiny, sour, bright. You eat a few. Stain your fingers red, tuck the rest into your pouch. Someone back home will smile for that by late afternoon. The house is full again. Smells like herbs drying on the rafters. Smells like sweat and sun and dirt and bread. Your grandmother is napping in the corner. Your cousin hums tunelessly as he scrubs a fish. Your sister rolls her eyes, but you can see she's smiling. You don't say much. You just sit in the doorway, back against the warm wood, and listen to the soft buzz of flies, the distant splash of someone hauling water, the rhythm of knives against cutting board. All of it steady, all of it simple, all of it yours. That night you eat outside. The sun takes forever to go down. It lingers, spills gold across every surface, turns sweat into shimmer, mud into bronze, the edge of the roof into a line of fire. You eat with your fingers, laugh when the dog steals half your fish, say nothing when he comes back, and lays his head in your lap. He knows he's forgiven. When the last of the light disappears, you lie in the grass. You don't even bother with a blanket. The ground is warm enough. The stars are sharp and close and many. You feel the world moving, not turning, not rushing, just breathing. And for once, you don't need to ask anything of it. You don't wish, you don't plan, you don't wonder. You just lie there, with the earth beneath you. You wake before the house stirs, the kind of morning where the light filters in like honey slow, golden, gentle. You sit up, the fire's just embers now. Nobody bothered to feed it last night, didn't need to. The air's warm, the kind of warm that feels like a reward, not a warning. You roll your shoulders, hear the soft creak of your joints. They're working joints, the kind that carry stories. You swing your legs over the edge of your bedroll. Your feet touch cool earth, and the day begins. Outside, the world hums. The bees are louder now. Everywhere, drifting through the air like slow thoughts, landing in clover, in blossoms, in your hair. You don't mind. The grass is taller than it was last week. The wind moves through it with the hush of a hand brushing. Silk and the sky, clear big. The kind of blue that doesn't end. Today is a heyday. Everyone knows it. No one says it. You just feel it in the dryness of the air, in the way the clouds have left you alone, in the scent of grass that's just starting to sweeten in the sun. So you gather the scythe and the rake and the others. You don't speak much. No one does when the work is honest. You walk to the meadow, bare arms catching the light, and then you begin the rhythm of cutting. Hay is ancient. Pull. Swing. Step. Turn. The sound of it is soft and sure metal through green, feet through stalks, breath through effort. It doesn't hurt, not the kind of work that punishes. This is offering work, returning work. You take what grew, you lay it down to dry, you leave enough for the earth to try again. And that's the agreement by midday. Your tunic clings to your back, your hair is damp, your hands are calloused, but the field is beautiful. Neat rows of gold and green, sliced clean under the sun, ready to be turned, to be lifted, to be stored for colder days. You sit in the shade for a while, drink water that tastes of iron and stone, wipe the sweat from your eyes. Your cousin throws a grass blade at your shoulder. You throw one back. Neither of you aim. That's not the point. You're both smiling in the evening. The smell of the hay follows you home. It clings to your sleeves, your hair, the folds of your tunic. You don't wash it off. Dinner is fresh bread and buttermilk and roasted roots. Simple food, but, good damned, you eat like someone who's earned. Every bite you say little. Your body speaks louder than words ever could. When the sun dips low, you walk down to the stream, just to feel the water, just to let the dust rinse off your ankles, just to sit on the bank and listen. The frogs are loud tonight, and the breeze has cooled, but not enough to chase you back inside. You lie down in the grass, arms folded behind your head. You watch the sky shift from blue to silver to black dot, and then dash stars, so many stars, enough to fill the air, between the trees, enough to remind you just how wide the world still is. You think about nothing. You think about everything. You think the grass will grow again. The sun will rise again. And so will I. And with that, you sleep, cradled by earth, blanketed in sky, at peace in the middle of the quiet season that gives more than it takes.